What's going on, family? It's your man, Tay Sweat, and this is the We Good Podcast. Now, I know a lot of you are going to ask me, why do you call it the We Good Podcast? Because a lot of vegans out there who don't know about muscle building, or a lot of non-vegans out there who don't know about nutrition at all, are going to ask me, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your B12? And all I'm going to do is look at them and go, we good. All right, we good, baby. Don't worry about it. We got it taken care of. We got our muscle. We got our vitamins. We got our nutrients. We good. All right, we good. So on today's podcast, or before we start today's podcast, I do want to let everyone know I did just release my transformation challenge. A lot of people have been asking me, come up with a transformation challenge. Please come up with a challenge. Please, please, please. So for those of you who are watching YouTube, I'll keep the link below for the transformation challenge. Go click on that. You want to join that, especially if you want to win $500. All right. For those of you who are on the podcast, of course, I'll have it in the show notes. For everyone else, let's get started. All right. So today's podcast, I really just want to talk about just that, transformation. Okay. Fasting 101. All right. How I get down with the fasting, how I do for a lot of my clients. You know, what is it? Why do we do it? You know, how we're losing up to 30, even 40 pounds a month. Okay? All of that good stuff that you've been wondering, is it possible? I'm here to tell you today. It is. All right? So, with that being said, one of the biggest questions I got is, or I get, is what happens when you lose so much weight? Is it water weight? Yes, it is. Why is that? Because a fat cell has water in it, okay? A fat cell has two hydrogen bonds, okay? So what happens is when people quote unquote dry fast, they're gonna use fat cells, they're gonna break down fat cells a lot quicker so that they can get their hydration in many cases. But the next question after that is, will it come back? Does the fat come back? No. The only reason you are going to gain your weight back, family, is if you simply allow yourself to go back to old habits. So, for instance, just to give you an example of, this is a lot of people in my program, but example of one particular person. She has lost, when she first came to me, she said, I wanted to do an aggressive approach. Let's make as much weight go off this belly as possible. So I had her fast. Okay, she ended up going for up to 2 weeks. She fasted for about 14 days. However, it's going to take some coaching. Okay, so I had to coach her through what to do while she's fasting, because you can't just drink water. Okay, you cannot just drink water. You're going to flush your electrolytes out. You're going to get refeeding syndrome. All of this stuff's going to happen. Okay, so you got to have your electrolytes, your iodine. Okay, so while we do Magic Moss. Long story short, okay, we're not gonna get too deep into that, but you have to have, you know, the correct coaching. This is why a lot of you are fasting on your own. You don't know what you're doing, and you're gaining the weight back. It's because you don't know what you're doing, okay? And that's okay. That's why I make this podcast. So what we have to do is some particular, you know, we have to get into some particulars for her and what's going to happen for her through 14 days and after. So she broke her fast at day 14. She was down 23 pounds in 14 days. Yes, 23 pounds. Many of you can't even get 3 pounds a month. Okay? And that's okay. That's okay, baby. Because I'm here to help. All right? Now, we coached her to get those 23 pounds off. I had her eat a certain type of way. Okay? I made it all. I laid it all out in her nutrition plan. Hey, eat this, eat that, take this, take that. I don't remember by heart exactly what it was, but I had her take some, you know, some supplements, of course. Let me just say this. For those vegans out there who are trying to go, you know, oh, I'm supplement free. In many cases, you're not going to be able to do that for long. Why is that? Okay, and this is just my little, stamp in the episode. You cannot go supplement free long term. If one, you want to be as healthy as possible. Two, if you want aesthetics, so if you're trying to get the muscle, you're trying to build a shapely body, whether you're a woman, you want the hips and the butt and the thighs. Fellas, if you want the arms, the chest, you're going to have to do supplements. Why is that? Well, our food, okay, when it comes to vegan food, plant-based, our nutrients is not where it used to be. And as far as the soil goes, as far as the vegetables and the fruit and everything that grows in the soil goes, it's 85%, probably even more now, since I've last looked at the studies and the research. It's 85% depleted, especially here in the US. What does that mean? That means it's going to take you about 5 apples. This is always my go-to example. It's going to take 5 apples to nutritionally equal 1 apple from 50 years ago. So yeah, 50 years ago, you could eat 1 apple and get all your nutrients and you're good. Now, because the nutrients has been depleted out of all the stuff, you're not going to really be able to do that. So it's more than just, I'm just going to eat plant-based. You're going to have to supplement, especially if you want to build some muscle. You're going to need those amino acids in abundance. You're going to need some of your fruits and vegetables are still going to have amino acids, but you're going to need a nice amount of amino acids to get the muscle growth going, okay? I just gave you all a very key tip or clue that I use in my program, okay? Why am I able to build so much muscle? Why are my clients able to build muscle at a great rate? Like most people say, hey, you must be eating meat. No, I know what I'm doing. That's what it is. I know about the 8 essential amino acids and you know how to work out basically. So let's get back to the fasting part. So she was fasting. She did 14 days. She lost 23 pounds. I had her take some supplements, of course, amino acids and everything to replenish. We also, of course, we got to worry about the electrolytes, potassium, magnesium, all of those things that we need to keep the balance. We took all of that, okay? So we did the proper things, and then we also made sure we ate the right way. Most people binge eat after doing an extended fast. You cannot binge eat after you finish a fast, especially if your binge eating is very junk food-ish. It's not going to work for you, okay? So there's a certain way. It's got to be plant-based. It has to be certain types of foods. You cannot just jump in. So so we made sure she didn't just jump in, okay? If you are wondering, yes, she worked out all 14 days, okay? So she did some cardio, about an hour of cardio every day for 14 days. This is how she was able to lose 23 pounds in 14 days. She ate her food. Yes, she went up a little bit on the scale. She went up about 4 pounds. After her 4 pounds, you know, going up, we kind of capped her off a little bit. I tweaked some stuff in her diet. She did some more, not as long fasting, but she did some more fasting in between there. A month later, she's down almost 30, or no, it's right at 30 pounds. Did I say a month later? No, excuse me. She did 2 weeks, and then she did another 2 weeks of just kind of tilting it off and slowing down the fasting. And within a month, not a month after the 2 weeks, within a month period of time, 30 days, she's down a little over 30, I don't want to say it's a little over 30 pounds, but it's about 32 pounds. So in 30 days, we lost about 1 pound a day, pretty much. And it's, if you see the pictures of it, it's all from her stomach. Of course, you know, it's coming from other areas, but her stomach is night and day difference. We will be putting out all of the, because I'm working on some stuff now, which is why I'm also doing this God Body transformation, because I'm going to show you all how many people this works for. It's not just one person thing. It's not just me. So she's down very well. She's very happy. Okay, she's in Canada. She's loving it. I have a lot of other people who are doing the same thing. Now, a lot of you are going to ask me. In many cases, I'm sure I'm going to get the DMs. I fast already. What am I doing wrong? It depends. Some people have insulin resistance. So if you're breaking your fast with too many carbs, that's what you're doing wrong. Some people, once again, they're not tracking or keeping up with their electrolytes. That's what you're doing wrong. So you might need some potassium, magnesium. You're going to have to get these things in. It's just a part of it. Some people are going to ask, or some people are doing fasting without working out. That's a problem right there. Okay, now, probably going to ask, is it possible to work out fasted? if you have fat on your belly, yes. One thing people don't understand is that when you have fat, okay, I like to make things, oversimplify them, yes. Kind of generalize, yes. But I do it to make the smallest person in the world understand, you know, a 2-year-old. If you can understand English or you understand what I'm saying, you can get this. All the way up to the doctors and the, you know, the scientists. You can get this. And that's why I oversimplify things. Now, when it comes to fasting, the body, in many cases, the body has stored a lot of energy in a fat cell, okay, or in fat cells. That's what it's like a hamster who stuffs its jaws. It's for later, okay? And this energy is stored for later. Not only is it food, but it's nutrients, okay, like vitamins and minerals. There's toxins there. Toxins are also stored in fat cells. We call it visceral fat. And then you, like I said, you have all of the things that you will need on a day-to-day basis, so that if you go without nutrients, minerals, foods, calories, all this other stuff, you have it stored. So when you come and ask me, is it possible to work out fasted? If you are a man and you're above 8% body fat, yes, you have enough fat. If you are a woman and you're above 17, 18% body fat, yes, you have enough fat. Trust me, okay? There's enough. Even the people who are on the leaner side have enough fat, but it gets a little different. You know, maybe we can't go as long. Maybe we need to, you know, we need to watch it a little more. Maybe we don't need to work out as much. There's some things that need to be tweaked. This is all based on the individual, okay? I know everybody, a lot of people like to DIY this thing, but it's a little, there's an approach for everyone. It's a specific approach for everyone, and you have to be careful. You can't just go out and start fasting, okay? And this is why I hand out books, or I at least try to get you to read a book. The Diabetes Code is a great one. I know that's not necessarily about fasting, but it really digs deep into insulin resistance, diabetes, which slowly gets you into the next book that I'm going to suggest you read, which is The Complete Guide to Fasting. Now, are these books going to just solidify everything you ever need to get started on your own? No. Okay. I tell people all the time, I would be out of business if it was that easy. Okay. I would not be an online coach or trainer if it was that easy. Seriously, I don't get it. People are like, man, I should be able to do this by myself. Yeah, you should be able to, but it's going to take years of information and learning this thing and really understanding it in many cases. Okay, because everybody I've worked with over 2,000 clients now, and everybody I have worked with, everybody has tried the DIY. Okay, I tried, you know, I'm used to fasting. I'm used to, you know, intermittent fasting or fasting, or I work out on my own. I do my own this, I do my own that, and I still can't get the results. And it's because there's always a few things that need to be tweaked. There's, you know, what we call the law of accommodation. So people are doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. Okay, some of you may know that to be insanity. So it just depends. Okay, it just depends. So just remember that. I'd be out of business. Every time you think about, you know, I'm gonna do the, you know, DIY this thing. Every time you say that, remember, myself and people like me would be out of business if it was an A, B, and C. Just do these three, and you'll get everything you ever dreamed about. There will be no online coaches. Okay, trust me on that. It's especially when it comes to this style of eating, veganism, aesthetics. You know, bodybuilding, or just building muscle, all of that stuff. If it was just lift weights and eat a lot, I mean, everybody would, you know, do it on their own. It'd be very easy, but it's not. So just remember that, okay? So long story short, yes, you can fast and work out. You definitely can. The body stores all of these fat cells so you can use them for later. So when you're fasting and you start to walk, okay, you know, I don't want you to do too much cardio or go too crazy. So when you're walking, or, you know, doing some low or steady state type style cardio, you're burning fat, okay? This is later. This is what later looks like, okay? Your body stored fat cells for later. Now later is here. So start walking, start using those fat cells. That's what it's for. Now, some of you are going to be experiencing some, I just talked about this with my clients. You're going to be experiencing some weird things happening. Now, this is a little out there. I'm going to be honest. Many of you aren't going to know what I'm talking about. Many of you aren't going to believe it. Many of you are just going to say, this dude is crazy, and you're going to cut it off. All right? And that's totally fine. But I'm going to throw it out there because I know it works. Okay? When you've worked with hundreds of people, it's one thing. When you work with 1,000 people, that's another thing. But when it starts to get to, 1,500, 2,000 people, you're realizing everybody's going through the same thing. You're like, oh, there's something here. Okay? You do a little more studying on it, and you realize that fat cells not only hold nutrition or nutrients, calories, toxins, but they also hold trauma or energy. Okay? Now this is where it's going to get deep. All right? It's going to get a little deep. Now, energy is always being known as something that cannot be destroyed. It's only transferred. Okay? Now, some of you have been through negative energy or negative experiences, and you've stored this negative experience or energy in your fat cells. Yes, this is possible. Okay, trust me. I'm walkie-talkieing clients as they're fasting every day, and I'm hearing the trauma come out. Okay, they're talking about this stuff, and a lot of times what people don't realize is some people were drug addicts. Okay, and the drugs that they were using back then were stored in their fat cells. And as they're using these fat cells, they're getting some of these same feelings. How do I know? Because they're explaining exactly what, when I used to do, Xanax, this is what I felt like. This is what happened. And I'm getting that feeling for some reason right now. I'm 5 days into the fast, and for some reason I feel like I'm on Xanax. No, you're utilizing what was stored. Something was stored. Whether it was a toxin or whether it was a chemical, whatever, it was stored. And you can reburn and re-experience that because it's in the fat cell. Okay? Now, what else happens? I know this is out there, okay? If I know, I can guarantee somebody's gonna come and say, "Where's your science? Where's your studies? Where's your?" This is not a studies thing. I'm just totally bringing this from my experience with thousands of people. Okay, I don't have any studies or anybody who's financially. I don't have anybody who's financially interested in learning if this happens or not. So there may not be a study, okay? Because usually it takes some financial interest to get a study done in many cases. So this is just my experience. If something happens a couple thousand times, then usually it's probably right, okay? It's just how I see it. So this is just my experience. But in many cases, this is what happens, okay? And I tell people that it can happen with food. Maybe you were a pizza head and you loved pizza 5-10 years ago, and that's why you gained 15, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. And now that you're fasting, you're craving pizza for some reason, because that pizza might have been stored in the fat cells or the chemical balance of that pizza. And now that you're burning through that chemical balance in the fat cell, you may be craving that same chemical balance in which you know to be associated with pizza. So maybe you're craving pizza now because you're burning pizza from a couple years ago that was stored in many cases, okay? Now, this once again is just my experience with my clients, okay? Like I said, after you work with so many clients and you see this happen over and over and over again, and then you kind of read up on this stuff and you're like, okay, this is what's happening to a couple thousand people, it starts to make sense. So just know that that is what could possibly be happening. So I want to close this show out by saying, if you are fasting, just know there are going to be many things that come up from past experiences or past loved ones, trauma, and sometimes you might even want to stop fasting because you don't want to deal with that stuff. But trust me, it's worth making it through it, because in many cases, my clients make it through this and then they're washed away with it because the negative energy is gone. It's not in the fat cells anymore. The negative energy has been washed out. There's no more, or not many fat cells left, and you can live in the present. You can be here. You can live and take care of yourself in a positive light. All right. So with that being said, I want you all to know you don't have to fast, and that you too have the right to eat yourself to death or to life. Choice is yours. All right. My name is Tay Sweat, and this is the We Good podcast. All right. If you got any questions, hit me up on Instagram. You know I answer my DMs, baby. I got you. So hit me up if you got any questions. You can go to Instagram, or you can just simply email me. I'll put the email below. If you are looking to get ready for this GB challenge, click that link Talk to you soon. Peace out.